This year's lightweight women's double sculls final is a virtual renewal between last year's gold, silver and bronze medalists.
And the German bows in lane one on the far side there, just moving quicker than anyone else. And as we see the crews go away, the Chinese, they won their semi-final convincingly ahead of Greece. Definitely one of the crews to beat in this race, but it's the Germans out in front and tracked in second place by the Greeks.
Well, here are the pace setters right on the far side. Marie-Louise Draeger in the stroke seat, Berit Caro in the bow. Marie-Louise, who last won this title in 2005, but hungry for an Olympic place because she missed out. She was a spare in Athens in 2004, but she, along with all of the finalists here, have at least earned a place for their nation with a boat in next year's final. The top 8 boats from these World Championships in this particular boat class qualify, which means that even Canada and Great Britain, who were first and second in the B final, already know that they have got a boat to prepare for next year.
Yeah, and you know, I like the look of this Finnish double as they go through. Sanna Stem and Minna Niemen, and they look very, very relaxed going through the higher rating Chinese. Just looking at their rating, 34 strokes a minute, and yet they're still up there competing as they come through the 500 meters.
What I find interesting about Sanna Sten and Minna Niemen is the fact that for the first 2 World Cup regattas, they were actually racing in the open heavyweight women's double sculls, and they've now trimmed down to their fighting weight, as they call it, and this could be really interesting after that sort of preparation.
Yeah, as we look at the Germans there, it's a very controversial form of preparation. You wouldn't allow that in the British team. Everyone has to be right on the weight, but the Germans continued their blistering form as they come through 500 meters just in front.
Well, you say it's controversial, but it served Kucharski and Sich for Poland extremely well. After all, they won a couple of Olympic titles, and they were often overweight and then trimmed down to their racing weight.
I think the thing is, what works for one crew doesn't work for all crews. The Irish tried the same thing in the lightweight men's double, which Sean Nielsen was coaching. They completely blew out. They didn't get their weights right, but it does look fantastic for the Finns there. I mean, it looks like slow motion rowing, almost steady state behind the Germans who've shot off, and the Chinese, the higher rating Chinese. But these Finns who were in the final last year at Eton, they look very, very good.
Yes, they were bronze medalists 2 years ago in Gifu, but slipped down to 6th place in Great Britain. But they really look to be really back on form, and they're giving the Chinese something to worry about here, and also the Australians. We haven't talked about them, but 2 very talented double scullers here in Margarita Houston and Amber Halliday from Adelaide and Perth. They were, of course, silver medalists a year ago.
Yeah, these Australians, and we've seen really with the Australians here that they've got a very strong second half, but they're going to have to go some to get back on the Germans and the Finns, because what a wonderful rhythm the Finns have got. I just wonder if the Finns can move out of that 34 strokes a minute into a sprint in the last half.
Well, what fascinates me is the way that the Germans are progressing on the far side. Can they keep this going? It's very difficult because they're a little bit isolated, but at least being in the lead, they can, without disturbing themselves too much, just keep an eye to the left on what's happening. But they're going to be quite encouraged, I think, to be in this position as we come to the half distance here. But Australia are alert and aware to the dangers, as are the Finns. And I must say, the Finns look so economical, and they're going to come through. Well, Germany just have got the advantage, but not for much longer.
No, not for much longer, and I think this is a fascinating tactical race, because in the first heat it was Australia that just headed Finland. So although the Finns are very strong and look very good in this final, perhaps the Australians are lurking.
It's the change of pace that you have to fear from the Australians, really. That's going to be the big question, I think, for all the crews. China back in 4th place, Xu Zhongjiang and Chen Haixie. So far, they haven't made a really big move. Also watching out for the Greeks there, who are lurking in 5th place there. Alexander Chiavu, really talented youngster, just 21 years of age, has come through to partner the more experienced Chrissy Biskitsi, and they're no mean force there as we look down the regatta course, and it is on the left of your picture now, the Finns, 2 from the left, who are just beginning to get on terms now with the Germans, who actually you can't quite see because they're off to the right of the picture. But here are the Finns, and they've got it. They're now into the lead, ahead of Germany, but look at the way the Australians are easing up, Martin.
Yeah, I know. It's going to come down to whether the Finns have actually got a sprint. They can get that 34 up to about 37, 38 strokes a minute in the final quarter, perhaps the final 250. But I think the Germans have spent brave effort in the first 500 metres. Can they hang on now for a medal from the Chinese?
Well, I'm very interested with the Chinese because there's nothing happening in that boat. Nothing at all. The others are leaving them and there's no response.
Yeah, you know, the Chinese are not as strong as they were earlier this season in Amsterdam, where they won those 5 fantastic events. There's no doubt the form of the Chinese team here in the World Championships is not as strong as it was earlier in the season.
So Finland with 500 metres to go in the gold medal position from Australia, from Germany. China slipping back almost 3 seconds off the pace, then Greece, then Denmark. And the Danes just going through in the foreground there. That's Katrin Olsen and Julian Rasmussen. And they're a quality crew, which just gives you the measure of the job that's being done up front here by Finland. Australia now going into second place. Germany, Marie-Louise and Berit Caro coming under real pressure on the far side.
Yeah, I think the Finns have got this one. They've just got to keep cool heads. They've started a little sprint. They've deigned to put their rate up a bit, but I don't know if these Australians can find something magic, but I think the Finns are really in the driving seat. That's a good lead to be taken in the last 250.
Australia stroking just 1 stroke higher than Finland at the moment. Germany under real pressure. The rate up to 36, but they're not really making an impression. And now look at the length of the Australians as we go into the last 250 metres. They're just beginning to extend, Martin.
Yeah, they're beginning to extend, but Finland have still got it there if they can just find a sprint and get out of that pace they've occupied for the whole race. But it's Australia that are moving quickly.
Well, this is the question for Sanna Sten and Minna Nieminen. Have they got that extra gear? Because the Australians are certainly coming at them. They're now going from nibbling into the lead to biting into their advantage. Germany on the far side, still looking hopeful for getting a medal, but this is Margareta Houston and her partner Amber Halliday at full flight now, taking on the Finns, and seemingly the Finns have not got that gear because the Australians are absolutely flying here now, and it's going to be pretty close when it comes to the line here, but the Australians are moving faster. The Finns are not responding. It's going to be right on the stroke surge here, and Australia take the Finns, and Germany just in third place ahead of Denmark, fast finishing on the near side ahead of Greece and China, the world champions, or at least one half of their partnership last year, only 6th.
And Minna Nieminen really celebrating there. She's really pleased with her silver medal.
I might have been a bit premature calling the bronze here. Have a look at this. Denmark at the bottom, Germany at the top. Ooh, that is tight. And remember, that's just a television line. It's just an indication. And Denmark, they've got the bronze medal, and so have Germany. They've been given exactly the same time, and we have a tie for third place. But not for the Australians. They timed it to perfection. A brave fight there by the Finns. But for Australia's Amber Halliday on the left, she regains the title she first won in 2002 with Sally Corsby.